This episode of the ChatGTM Podcast is brought to you by Budget Branders, your source for custom branded cups and bags. So what makes them unique? Well, they source using a hybrid supply model, they import to keep prices low, and they have domestic backup to fill in the gaps. Learn more at budgetbranders.com or connect with Budget Branders on LinkedIn. And now it's time for the show. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, or whatever time you happen to be tuning in. This is the ChatGTM Podcast with the host, Michael Beck, coming to you live here from Tampa, Florida, with my partner in crime, business associate, and consigliere. You're now a mobster, Chad. Mr. Chad Horn. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great.
Yeah?
Great. Glad to be back. This is like one of those weird times where we got one day at home before we're out to the next conference, having just gotten back from one. I'm grateful.
Yeah, this is called the revolving door, kiss her on the cheek, and walk back out with fresh luggage.
Exactly.
Now, so where did we come from? Let everybody know. Where did we just come from? What was it?
Our first event as a team ever in Charlotte, North Carolina. The Searcher event expanded. I'm going to butcher the acronym. Chain Rewards Total Association. Chain Restaurant Total Rewards Association.
It's hard to say. That's almost like I dare you to say it 5 times fast.
But it was great, and it was a lot of awesome people who lead people in HR and rewards, benefits types folks, and the great work they do. I look forward to talking about that with our guest today.
Oh, I guess it does play into some rewards if we think about it. It really does.
I think it does.
There's definitely an intersection there. Yeah, and then we are on the road tomorrow. We're headed off to Las Wages for the RSPA. Is it Retail Now? Is that the name of the show?
Yep.
Is it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So we're going to be there supporting our clients at Esper and Microtouch and some other of our friends that are at that event. Mastery Partners, one of the guys is going to be speaking from there. Really excited to get in the mix. It's actually a pretty fun show on those. Actually, I noticed this. So we hung out, and I'm not dinging the people at Sertra. These are pretty serious professionals. Their nights out are a little bit different from some of the other segments of hospitality where we know they're rolling in at 3 a.m. I think these guys are a little bit better, a little bit more promptly. So I doff my hat to you for your professionalism and commitment to feeling good the next day.
Yeah, that's my crowd.
Yay! Actually, ours too. All right, well, let's get going. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest who has become a friend of ours. Their organization is also a friend of ours, DishOut. They're doing some really interesting stuff in the marketplace, especially when it comes to taking care of frontline employees to make sure they have access to their wages. And so the read-in for this guest today is, every great company is built on people who see a problem and decide they're going to solve it. And today's guest has spent more than 2 decades in the restaurant and food service industry, helping operators navigate everything from technology adoption to operational challenges. And now, as co-founder and president of sales at DishOut, Vaughn Ackman is helping restaurants simplify one of the most overlooked parts of the business and actually one of the biggest parts of friction for the employees, which is tipping. DishOut's platform automates tip distribution, ensures accuracy and compliance, and gives operators a better way to manage one of the most important parts of the employee experience. And especially when we're talking about people that are living, hardworking people that are living from paycheck to paycheck, access to their wages is so incredibly important. And so with that in mind, Vaughn, welcome to the ChatGTM Podcast. The show is yours. How you doing today?
Quite the introduction there, Michael. Thank you very much.
We're going.
I don't think I've ever had anybody read about our company that well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I could do something more like and now. Wait, my mixing board isn't working.
You're going to give me like a trailer, like a movie trailer?
And now, Vaughn Ackman of DishOut is bringing the heat. No, okay, we won't do that.
Right, I'll stop.
I need a sound effect like that. I'm going to do my demos like that.
Yes, you need to say that.
Sure.
It's going to be very ominous, and in that way, they're fearful to not sign with me. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I was it? It's like Vader. You go.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, Vaughn, welcome to the show. We might have lost every single one of our listeners at this point, but in case they're still there, Vaughn, we just got together at the TRA show in San Antonio, Texas. We had a lot of fun during that interview. And it's because you guys work on something that I think one of the reasons it's fun is you're going to solve some problems for people who really need to get that problem out of their way and stop worrying about that. So thinking about that, let's do a little look back. So thinking about the time at the show, what stood out most from this year's event, or what you got out of that event?
We got a lot out of that event. So this was our first year being at that Texas show. I think that it had just maybe the show had been taken over by another company to organize it and operate it. And this was our first visit to it. And it being a regional show, it really sure felt national, which I think was really cool. The expectation was that we were just going to be meeting people from Texas, but we were meeting people from all over the country, which is great for us. I mean, the more reach we get, the better. We had a lot of really nice visitors, and I will say, like, one of the largest takeaways is that how hospitable everybody is there in Texas at that show. Not only the organizers of it, but the people that are running the show and the guests, as well as our surrounding booths and the surrounding vendors. So, biggest takeaway: everybody in Texas is really nice, and the show is viable in a big way. So, if any other vendors listening to this, you book a booth. It'll be well worth your time.
And follow-up question to that, because I almost felt a little guilt after I published that episode with us, because at the beginning of it, I talked a little smack for fun going, really. Remember I said it's the biggest regional show in the country, but California might have something to say about that. And I talked out my hat because I've never been to the California show. Is the Texas show actually bigger than the California show? Well,
the California show, which we will be doing, thank you for this. You're giving me a nice lead in. We're going to be there as well. I believe that is August 23rd in Anaheim. And the last time we did that one was a couple years ago. And that one, I believe, has also been taken over by another company to help kind of rejuvenate it. Not to say that it was lackluster the last time we were there, but it left a little bit to be desired after leaving. It didn't really get much traction from it previously, but now that this new organizer is taken over, it seems like it's going to get some traction this year. So we're hoping for a nice turnout. Our largest client base is here in California. We've got somewhere close to 200 brands here in California. Oh, wow. So we're hoping to see not only friends, but some new faces, some prospects, some people that are really interested in our tip management platform and what it is that we're able to do for them. We really want to make some new connections here in California, and Anaheim's a really great place to do that.
And was the show? I'm holding you to the cross here. Is the show you knew in Texas the same size or bigger than the one in California?
The Texas one was larger than the one that I did previously in Anaheim. So you weren't.
There you go, Texas.
You weren't incorrect. So you're saying that you were talking smack, but are you talking smack when it's true? That's if it's true.
I left more like the question, like, well, is it then? So
you can't get upset if it's true.
That's true. That is true. Chad?
Well, since we're talking about Texas, I'm curious. You do gratuity management, and Beck and I, especially lately, talking about the guest experience on gratuity and some of the crazy things you see out there. So I'm just curious, from a tipping culture and the other side of it, what you manage for brands on gratuity management, are there differences state to state, region? You go, you're in this part. Well, here you go. I mean, is there that kind of variability?
That's a great question, honestly. And I thought that we would see a lot of variations across the board, across the country, and you really don't. It's all, there's okay, I'm going to backtrack on that. Put my foot in my mouth real quick. There's variations from every operation. So whether it's the same state or the same city, there's variations from every operation. That's kind of what makes what we do pretty unique, because we're able to really tailor to whatever your operation wants. And there's some really crazy complex rules out there for whatever reason. Maybe the place has been established for 20 years and they've got some weird, I'd tip out a flat rate to, an assistant, and it's got to be per hour, $1. Like, we can do a lot of different things that really can't be accommodated with just a spreadsheet or manually. So, and that's because we're able to extract that data directly from their POS. But to get back to your question about the states, they really don't change. The only thing that I think is different amongst each state is their minimum wage, and then if they have a tip credit. So if they have a minimum wage and a tip credit, you got to make some tweaks to what it is you're doing as far as a tip pool or a tip share calculation. But for the most part, people are doing different things across the board, but it's all kind of the same conceptually.
So Vaughn, let's walk it back a little bit here, because I've gotten to know you and Chad's gotten to know you, but I don't think people know you, and I really want them to know you because you're kind of a solid dude. So before there was DishOut, there was Vaughn Ackman.
That's true.
Where did you get your hospitality passion? Where did this all come from?
It's a crazy question. Is that, I try not to look into the past because I'm a future kind of guy.
Sure, but it made you who you are.
But I will say that my first job, actually my second job, I worked at the warehouse. You're supposed to say where? The warehouse. That was the old tagline. Anyways, it was a retail thing. We sold
that in Tower Records, right?
That's exactly right. It was exactly like Tower Records. It was a competitor. So we sold CDs, VHS tapes. It was a rental place, that kind of thing. That was my very first job. I was 15 years old. So very cool. That was a nice experience. Worked there for like a year. Second job, Round Table Pizza delivery. So I jumped right into, in which, some people would say Round Table is not a restaurant, but it is.
It absolutely is.
Contrary to popular belief, Round Table Pizza it's also regional. I think here in California, I'm not sure if they go nationwide, but so that was my very first job, delivering pizzas. And then from there, I moved on to a little restaurant called BJ's. I don't know if you guys
have a couple spots.
That's when that's when I only had like two. And I worked at one of their larger flagship restaurants, and that was like the career path for me, because working at BJ's was some of the best times that I had up until that point. Just the people. I really love the people in restaurants. So from a very early age, as you could tell, I'm kind of a boisterous kind of guy, and restaurant folk tend to be that way. I also liked the instant gratification of, you're walking out with money, all of that stuff. And being a paycheck to paycheck kind of fella at the time, getting that cash flow and walking out the door with money every day was it. So from BJ's, I worked at various restaurants, the Market Broiler. I worked at Wild Bill's Wild West Dinner Extravaganza as a cowboy waiter.
That's over by Knott's Berry Farm.
It used to be. It's now the Pirate Show, but that's also where I met my wife. So I met my wife at Wild Bill's Wild West Dinner Extravaganza as a cowboy waiter. She was a camera girl, which was really cool. And I know, isn't this wild? And then, I started going to school and working in restaurants, and because of the flexibility of restaurants, I continued to wait tables and bartend, do a little bit of management while I was in college. And then I graduated, and I was like, okay, do I really want to work Saturday nights and Sunday nights and allocate all my time to this restaurant? Or do I want to stick in the business and do something that still involves restaurants, but kind of gives me a little bit more of a 9-to-5er, and then of course make a little more money. So I contacted my sales rep from Sysco at the restaurant I was working at the time, called Lugatti's in Huntington Beach, which is no longer exists, unfortunately, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I spoke to the Sysco rep, and I said, hey, look, I'm looking for a little action. I want to, do some street sales, distribution. So I get into the distribution game, restaurant wise. So I'm still in the business, but now I'm walking in the back door, and I'm talking to chefs, and I'm looking at, I'm talking to, line cooks. I'm talking to management. I'm talking to ownership. So a little bit of a different angle, but still the same, just in restaurants, still working with the same people that I love and that I'm of that ilk. So it was really easy to speak the language to these folks. So, and I did that for 13 years, climbed up to executive level with Sysco.
Is that how you met Steve?
Exactly. So fortunately, that is where I made many friendships and connections. Yeah. Not only at Sysco, but at my clients. And I met Steve, and we hit it off right away. He's also of the same ilk, a strong background restaurant guy. Kind of have all the same interests. We could speak the same language. Kindled a friendship with him, and push came to shove, and he was ready to try to market, or not necessarily ready, but he was building this thing. DishOut. He was building this thing, DishOut. He ran the idea by me. He was already kind of like talking to some developers about it and getting things straightened out from those angles. And he wanted me to come along for the ride, and thank him for that, for having the trust and faith in me to be able to partner up with him and launch this thing. And 4.5 years later, here we are.
Wow. Thanks for that. Chad?
Great story.
Well, a little long-winded.
Wow, this is what we're here for.
I'm going to ask for a question that's basically a continuation of part of that, which is, when you were starting up with Steve and getting that going, what is something you failed to anticipate in terms of what that would be? Right? Like there must have been some massive blind spot of like what you were about to get into.
This is going to be a piece of GTM wisdom for you founders that are listening right now. Stay tuned for this next answer. Go ahead.
I mean, the blind spots are, I mean, I feel like the whole thing was blind, right? So like, okay, maybe this was clear. And then you've got the whole screen is actually blind to what it is you're actually getting into. I bet, it's tech. And I had never dealt with tech ever. And neither had he. I mean, we're restaurant dudes that are just like solving a problem for restaurants using tech. But actually marketing tech, getting into the space was, it filled with tons of blind spots. I would say that the biggest one was like, okay, we're looking at our product and we're like, this thing is the best thing that anybody's ever going to want. I'm just going to like basically just say 1-2 words about what it is and I'm signing everybody, right? So like, it's like, okay, we're going to hit,
who knew?
Everyone's going to want it, everybody.
Yeah.
And we had, a very basic product at the time, which was essentially just distribution. And we do 3 things now, which is calculation, reporting, and distribution. Whereas like all we had was like a way to send people money. And that was it. That was like the bare bones of it. But we knew that this was like a serious issue that was getting really pervasive amongst all restaurants, which was cash flow. Nobody had cash in the door. They had to go to the bank 100 times and it was an accounting nightmare. Having to figure out how to get those people paid on a daily basis, like it's always been old school style, given they're walking out with their cash, it was almost impossible to manage for Steve and then for many other restaurants. So we were like, this is done. This is so easy. And of course, nothing is easy. Nothing worth having is easy. This has been very challenging. We've had to pivot and change the way that we not only have constructed the software itself, but we also had to change the way that we were going to go to market as well, because this wasn't like, hey, I just walk in the door, tell them, hey, by the way, you know me by DishOut, and it's just going to happen. It's not like that. So just know, and like you mentioned, Michael, anybody thinking about getting into the SaaS space, which I guess is what we are, it's hard. It's really hard, and you really got to put a lot of time and effort into understanding not only who you're going to talk to, but you got to make sure that you probably got a lot of money on the back end too, in order to finance the whole thing, until you can really get to a place of profitability. And that's like, it's just really challenging that way. We've been fortunate. We've been fortunate as of right now.
Vaughn, money is an emotional thing, especially for people that don't have a lot of it, right? And especially inside restaurants. And now that you have about 4 years really, focusing on this category and seeing the outcomes, how does getting tips right change the culture inside of a restaurant?
Getting tips right, yes. Changing the culture, I think really what you want to do is maintain. If you have a healthy culture already, you want to maintain.
No, meaning the impact of that. If you do that, right, and you're able to solve that problem, what does that do for the teams, or what have you seen that benefit happening? If people are suffering in this area, and remove that.
Yeah, tip accuracy. So depending on the operation, obviously there's going to be complexities for different places. Some places are pretty straightforward about the way that they're tipping out their folks. It's like the server just makes his money or his or her money and then just tips somebody out with cash. Okay.
Yeah.
Really, that's a very simplistic way to do it. And in maintaining that, I think really, instead of like pushing things to paychecks, is really important to culture. You're in there, you're working. Tables are tipping you. Your customers as a server or bartender are tipping you directly. They're giving you the $10. They're giving you the $15. They're not giving it to the business to hold on to for 2 weeks.
Right.
All right. And not to say that there's not a reason why businesses do that. And I don't want to disparage that at all, because operationally that makes a lot of sense for a lot of people to do, especially with the amount of paperwork that could be required if you don't have a system like mine.
Right.
But if you do, to be able to maintain not only the daily tip out, but also provide the transparency to the staff on why they're making the money they make, because a lot of these things can get pretty crazy. These tip pools, these tip sharing operations, they can get pretty convoluted with a lot of different rules. So these, a server doesn't even know why he's making what he's making, or a bar back doesn't know why he made what he made.
Yeah.
Providing that transparency to whatever crazy calculation you're doing is pretty important. And of course, and I hate keep plugging myself, but we provide that with an app. So if a server is done with his shift, his or her shift, they can open up the app and just take a look at what the calculation was and why they made the money they made. That not only solves a headache for the server themselves, but it solves a headache for management too. So management doesn't have to get or field a ton of questions from their server and asking why I made the money I made. Hey, I think I got shortchanged here. Can you pull up whatever spreadsheet that you did 2 days ago, and show me what the calculation was? Because I think I'm owed a few more bucks. Well, the server can just open up his app, see it, and it's done. So,
well, you used the word trust a second ago, and I have to imagine that anchors trust to management and retention for that employee if they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. I mean, credit card tips being kind of hidden in general, because, they're just written down on a piece of paper, and then later on you got to collect that, right? Knowing where that's going and how it's being divided is really important to trust. You got to know that who you're working for, the operation you're working at, isn't going to try to take a slice of my pie.
No.
I'm here busting my butt. I should get what I'm owed and do. So yeah, that trust factor is big for culture as well, Michael, and that's provided.
Awesome. Chad?
So once upon a time, it wasn't that long ago, like a handful of years ago, I was randomly involved in like this custom software spreadsheet editing project that was going to be automated to help a counter service brand distribute tips fairly across the team. And one of my observations then was like, some of the more complicated rules and things they do it was in the interest of fairness and perceived fairness. So I'm curious what you've learned about the importance of fairness across multiple concepts and how that impacts employees and how you help with that.
Okay. So fairness is in the eye of the beholder a lot of the time. All right. What's become a kind of a pervasive thing is I would call it a traditional tip pool. And this happens a lot across the board. And, I'm not necessarily in favor of it. Of course, we can do it as far as the calculation is concerned. But what'll happen is, and what that traditional tip pool would look like is, no matter what, whoever did what, the tip that was given is going to go into basically a bucket, and then it's going to get divided amongst everybody that's on the floor, based on hours worked. This is just like an example.
Yeah.
Some people would think that was fair, right? The server themselves, depending on the type of service that they're providing, may not think that's very fair, because is everybody created equally as a server? I mean, from my experience, no. There are servers that are better and there's servers that are worse, and it just could be based to experience, or maybe it's attitude. I don't know. But bartenders, same type of thing. Not every bartender is created equally. So should you be bucketing all of the money that every server on the floor is making and then basically just dividing that amongst everybody just for the sake of fairness? I don't know. That's not necessarily that wouldn't be the way that I would do it. Of course, that can be calculated. It's not that easy to calculate that, but that's become kind of a commonplace around a lot of areas, doing it that way. So it just depends. I mean, for me, my way of doing it would just be like, okay, every server keeps what they made, except you carve out certain percentages of sales to pay out the support staff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then from there, you make what's left over after the carve out, and the good ones, the good servers, the good bartenders are probably going to make more. And I think that incentivizes people to work at a place like that too. You get the real talent coming in because they're going to be rewarded for their own hard work, rather than like, okay, now I gotta pick up the slack for 5 other people. I don't know. Does that make sense, Chad? Did that even answer your question?
It makes perfect sense, because I think every place is different. And a friend of mine introduced me at a 10-15-minute conversation with who he described as one of the best servers in the country.
Oh.
And talking to this guy and how he approaches a table, it's like the master class. People wouldn't even understand.
It's a real profession, Chad. I mean, people look at this as if it's not sometimes, like, oh, it's just a bunch of kids, college kids or high school kids doing this. That's not true. You've got real
Oh.
professionals that are in
Oh,
this
yeah.
space that are, clearing a couple $100,000, just
Yeah.
waiting
If the
tables.
server was
Yep.
making up to 200 grand.
There
Yeah,
you
you
go.
come to Burns Steakhouse in Tampa, their servers are making easy six figures.
It's a true profession,
Yeah.
and you can
Yeah.
tell when somebody is taking it seriously and when they're not. So, I hear you.
Vaughn,
Oh, yeah.
what's a good customer story you could share with us that reminds you what you've built is something that really matters?
Repeat that question.
What's a customer story that reminds you what you guys have built there is something that really matters? I know we talked anecdotally a little bit about, but is there something you could hone in on?
Yeah. I mean, there's probably several. One that kind of sticks out in my mind was somebody who was just kind of fearful. And I'll tell you why. The client was in Northern California, and she called us probably a day late or a couple days late. She had been robbed. Like their location had been ripped off, 25K or something out of their safe. I forget what the number was. This was a couple years ago. And she was like, we have to have this like tomorrow, because as you know, I mean, we're going to give people the ability with our digital distribution of money to not have to hold on to a bunch of money.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all that petty cash in the safe, because I don't know, but most people that are listening to this are going to know the petty cash is really there for tip outs, right? You're holding on to this money because you need to satisfy the tip outs from credit card tips. So they had like $25,000 on hand, and I don't know what kind of buildup that was for a couple of days or whatever, but she was pretty upset. So she calls and says, "I got to have this tomorrow. It's got to happen. I can't get robbed again. This is too big of a problem. Our area is getting worse," or whatever. It was closer to like the Oakland area or something like that. And, when I get a phone call like that, it's like, wow, you might think that you're just kind of trying to market some piece of software, but in reality, there's real help that we're providing here, and security concerns. Like it's a true deal. And not only with the operation, but if, some ill-intended people know that this place deals in cash on a daily basis, who knows, they're not waiting in the parking lot at the end of the night.
Inside jobs. That's how they happen.
Yeah. You got servers walking out with a couple $100. I mean, that's easy pickings, at midnight. I got 400, the bartender's leaving with $400 in cash at midnight, walking through a dark parking lot. Like, who knows what's going to happen? It kind of gets eliminated with the digital processing. So it more so than like ease of use, it's really like the security thing is a big deal too. So, I mean, that phone call kind of sticks out to me because she was pretty upset. We were able to get her launched out pretty fast, within a couple of days, so that she felt a little bit more secure in what she was doing as an operation.
I love it. Chad?
I want to get to this question I had before in my head. It's like, I think people don't think about all the roles in a restaurant that might have an interest in what you do. So we were hanging out with HR people that think about employee experience as it relates to compensation and benefits, and this others to that. So, and we can talk about all of the major departments and roles, but let's talk about that one, right? Someone whose job is culture, people, talent acquisition, retention. How do they think about gratuity management?
That's a good question. I've had varying discussions with HR in regards to what it is we do. HR a lot of the time can make the decision whether or not to implement my system. So I got to get in good with the HR folks. You know what I mean? Which isn't always that easy to do.
You should have been there with us last week.
Sometimes HR folks can be very hard-lined about certain things. I think the first thing that comes up with an HR position that's maybe operating multiple operations, they're hiring that many people, is whether or not digital transfers is a legal thing to do. Well, of course it is, in any state, depending on what it is that you're doing, but in any state. We provide several different types of documents that they can then provide to their staff in order to make it an easy transition from cash or from paycheck to just like an instant payout digitally to their bank account. usually the angle is legal with HR because they don't want to get sued. God bless them. Of course they don't. And
Yep.
that being us being a litigation happy type environment these days. I call it like the Google lawyer, like every server's got, some kind of the Google lawyer. He's going to go, hey, this isn't legal,
Yep.
It is. It is. It's totally legal, and it's for any operation. As some tip pooling, honestly, they could be doing something illegal already on their own, and being able to enlighten that HR person or payroll person that, hey, by the way, what you guys are doing right now might be a little bit fringy. So if you might want to implement something that's going to give you a little bit more insight, reports, transparency to the staff, you might want to implement something like that. It doesn't have to be me, but you guys are putting yourself in kind of a vulnerable position. So we've been able to kind of like angle, not just from, okay, hey, are you guys legal, but maybe what they're doing right now isn't as, on the up and up as they may have thought. So I'm not a lawyer. Okay. So don't take my legal advice. I always recommend check with your own counsel. But we know a thing or two at this point about different states and laws surrounding tips and the way that it operates.
Question, because this actually brings something to mind, a personal experience I had recently. So there's a burger place by my house that I absolutely loved, past tense.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
You know the burger place I'm talking about, Chad. And
I was
so
looking forward to trying it. Now I guess that's
I know. I don't know if I can take you there now. So I'm sitting there, and I've been friendly with the employees there because they're the ones that serve the food. And I was about to key in a tip, and they go, can you hand this to us in cash? The owner keeps all tips.
What?
That's what I said.
Meaning keeps it.
He keeps everything. If it comes in, if it goes in the tip jar, it goes in his pocket. If it goes on the POS, it goes in his pocket.
Oh, yeah. That's you can't.
And he's charging damn near $20 a burger already. And so I know he's not paying them, and the employees have already shared with me. Is that legal?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. No matter what the state. Yeah.
Yeah. He's grabbing gratuity on false pretenses that is going to get to the people that provide the service. It's just, I feel bad because now they're not going to get my business and help.
Oh, okay. So they are still there.
They're still there working.
1-star Google review.
Yeah, they are. It's an immigrant labor force, and I think they're just being bullied into accepting the reality.
Yikes.
And that exists out there. Like I've heard horrible stories. Like when I was working with Mod Pizza, there was a guy that was an immigrant working at a gas station. He was actually paying the guy at the gas station so he could work there. Like he was giving him part of his check because the gas station owner had made him believe that he had to pay some kind of VIG to be able to work at literally.
Well,
like
you were just talking about that's like something Chad would advise because he's your consigliere.
Yeah, it is. It's the VIG. It's Chad and the VIG. Yeah, no, but I mean, there's some horrible operators out there that have great people working there, right? And
really
it's so, excuse the language, shitty.
Isn't that sad?
That they would do
it's
that.
really sad.
Yeah.
You're basically taking people that you're working in a restaurant. You're not raking it in. Some of them are, of course. But,
yeah.
But you're kind of taking advantage of probably kids too, which makes it even more sinister, I suppose. You're taking advantage of kids. You're keeping their tips. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
They didn't know. I was like, that's a true thing, right? And just it blew my mind. So I guess the question is, that was just more just kind of riffing on something I saw in person when you're talking about that. But when it comes to now that you're a technologist, you went to a restaurateur, being a technologist, what excites you most about where this industry is heading? Right? Like we see, and please don't say AI because we know the AI is in the mix there, right?
I wasn't going to say that.
Good man. Yes.
But
now you have to all drink a beer.
I'm really excited about AI and restaurants. No.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. What do I like? I think that efficiencies are being increased like tenfold.
Yes.
For a lot. Okay. So why do people get into restaurants to begin with? I mean, what do you think? I'm going to ask you.
Well, I think they have a helpful heart. I think, service-minded is a thing. Like they're people that like to create experiences. They get a dopamine hit from making people feel good.
Right.
They enjoy the work.
Yes, they do. Does anybody get into the restaurant business to make money?
Well, sometimes you have to ask yourself that question. But yes.
I mean,
the job.
I mean, I would say that is probably opening a restaurant to make money. I think is like probably one of the worst decisions you can make if you're trying to make money. You mentioned something I think before. You were like, it's an emotional restaurant business, food, things like that. It's an emotional kind of thing,
Yeah.
and I think that people love hospitality and love food so much that they're like, hey, I'm going to open up a restaurant. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. And sure, they want to make some money too, but for the most part, they're looking for something to like put together, place a community. They want to have their family there. They want to have friends there. That they open up a restaurant for that, I think. And with of course you want to be profitable and you want to make money, but like, I don't know, if you're trying to get rich off of a single unit, it's probably not going to happen. Right. So there's different ways you can invest your cash rather than just like, hey, open up one restaurant. That's not
right.
That's not the end all. So I don't know where I was going with that.
I was asking why you're excited where the industry's heading.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So those people, okay, this is where I was going. The people that are opening up a restaurant for those reasons, let's say, they want to do something. They want to have something of their own. They want to have a place to hang out, feed people, make some money at the same time. So with those folks don't really know what they're doing. Okay. For the most part, the first time you open up a restaurant, you don't really know what you're doing. I think what's exciting about the technology piece of things is there's so much available to people that don't know what they're doing that they can
less
implement.
Guesswork.
Totally. So they got all this technology that can really help them manage their place like a professional, not like somebody who's just opening up a spot because it's going to be fun. Yeah. So they can implement all this technology, and sure, you can scale back. So maybe you're just going to get every piece of tech possible and have like a stack of 20 different SaaS subscriptions. Right. That's crazy already. That's crazy. But maybe you start there and then you decide, okay, now I know how to do this. Now I can get rid of this piece. Now I know how to do this. I can get rid of this piece. And so, because some of this stuff can be replaced, or you could consolidate to something that might offer all of those offerings, aside from a couple. And now you've got a tech stack of maybe 5 things. Either way, all of this technology is just really helping people that don't really have maybe the proper direction on how to, properly schedule or, do tip management for that matter. Then maybe they don't know. So you get this technology, you put it in, you get the professionals behind that technology to help them implement it, teach them what it does, teach them how it helps them. And then, a couple years down the line, you could start to estimate that stuff, but maybe because of these processes and things that you've put in place as a single unit owner or a 2-unit owner, you've got all that stuff you've learned from the tech, and now you're making the money that you want to make, but you also have a restaurant that you love and that you built.
Yeah, it gets rid of some of that risk and uncertainty and doubt. In fact, it's funny that you mentioned that, because this morning I was just talking to Lisa Landsman over at Google. And Google has a very heavy investment in developing solutions that will democratize the tools that the big guys have, that these small to medium-sized businesses can now leverage to compete on an equal playing field. And that's one of the things I love about Google, is they're actually bringing some stuff out that's not going to break the bank, and give them a set of things, whether it's their Google business profile or other ways that could really be seen, have a better understanding of the guest, the creativity and engagement that you can do through their platforms. Google's got some good stuff going on.
That's cool. We were doing something like that over when I was working at Sysco Foods, is leveraging kind of the larger clients that we had, leveraging their tools and what it is that they were doing, and then allowing the mom pop spot, the 1 or 2 unit, to utilize or to learn from that tool that the big guy has, and give that to, or a piece of, to the smaller unit. So it's kind of very similar, which is very cool. I mean, we all got to learn from each other, right? We want a sustainable business here. I mean, everybody wants a sustainable restaurant market. Everybody loves going out to eat and having a few drinks. Everybody loves that. So keeping that sustainable, profitable, so that people stay in business is a big deal. So being able to leverage that from the larger guy, really, I mean, and giving it to the small guy helps the larger guy at the same time that it helps the small guy.
I love it. Chad, last question before we go into rapid fire.
Last question. Well, I was thinking how, every business uses tools. We use a bunch here, doing what we do. And some of them we've swapped out, multiple times in a given thing, just because there's a new thing that does something really well. And, we really care about that. And that superpower is just meaningful to us. I'm curious for, given that, DishOut has competitors, what are your superpowers as a company, as a product that you really want to talk about?
Thank you.
Superpowers.
Well, like anywhere, the superpower is the people behind it. Technology can be as great as it can be the biggest, craziest piece of technology possible. But if you've got lackluster people behind it and giving the proper direction on how to utilize that tech, it's likely going to fail, or people are going to be dissatisfied with the technology because the people behind it aren't supportive. I mean, this sounds cheeseball, and I apologize for that, you guys.
We like cheese.
But I think that we have an amazing team. We've been through a few different bumps in the road and have come together with like a family.
Orange and fire.
We treat our clients the same way, as if they're having a problem, I'm picking up the phone and I'm helping them. Is it 1 a.m? Yes. Am I tired? Of course. But I'm going to help you because that's when restaurants need the help the most.
Yeah.
It's our superpower. I mean, aside from the technology, because of course that needs to work. But our superpower 100% is the DishOut team and what it is that we do in listening. I just think that we listen really well when it comes to what people need. And because of that, we've built something that I think can be used by anybody. Yeah, superpower is the people, man. It always is. And I'm not talking about myself, although I am super. I think my team together, it's like Voltron, dude. You got all of the people,
lion bots,
and now you've got this robot monster that can destroy anything. I feel like that's what my team is capable of doing.
I feel like I really have to do a visual overlay of Voltron in this edit when this time comes. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into our rapid fire mode. And Vaughn, these are supposed to be things that are off the cuff, no overthinking, just the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Oh boy. Am I? I don't know. Let's try.
You never know. Let's give it a shot. And if there's anything just too crazy, you can go past. All right. So what's something about you that would completely surprise people?
I love karaoke.
That doesn't surprise me. I believe that. Although people think I do karaoke, I've never done it. So
I'm actually very good at it. So
I think there's going to be a throwdown now.
Pretty good. I think maybe people are lying to me. Maybe I don't know, but I think I.
That's how people get on The Voice and they go, "Somebody told you could sing."
Yeah. You get shouted off. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to join in on one of those. All right, what's one thing you're ridiculously competitive about?
Everything.
Is it karaoke again?
Everything. I'm wildly competitive. I'm just gonna say everything, but then fantasy football, wildly competitive at that.
Oh, so you do the whole draft, spend a whole day on that, build out your card.
I'm pretty hardcore when it comes to the fantasy football.
Okay.
Yeah.
If your friends were roasting you, what would they make fun of first?
My hair.
Okay. You have one free billboard every restaurant owner in America has to read. What's on it?
Am I advertising myself?
It's your billboard, buddy.
Whatever you want.
I get one free billboard. Everybody has to read it.
It can't be you like George Costanza on the couch in Seinfeld. We're not doing that one.
It says DishOut. You need it.
Ooh, like that. All right. If Hollywood made a movie about your life, who plays Vaughn Ackman?
I know I'm not supposed to overthink this, but
here comes Brad.
Who am I all like in on as far as an actor is concerned? That's really difficult, man. I don't know, because now I'm gonna sound like shit.
Off the cuff. It's silly. Take a stab, quick.
Jeff Daniels.
Actually, I
could do that. Yeah, all right. He goes Dumb and Dumber and could be the president. Both sides of the spectrum. I love it. All right. Steve Massis gets one sentence to describe you. What does he say?
He says loyal.
Ooh. Okay. Last question. You're a California kid growing up. Was it Knott's or Disney?
It was Knott's more times because it was cheaper but I think I would have preferred going to Disneyland.
Were you there during the days of Studio K, Cloud9, and Videopolis when they had dance floors at those places?
That was my high school days, and I never got to go because it was too expensive, and my parents would never foot the bill for that. But I had a lot of friends in high school that were going to that. Yeah.
He was so very poor. It's a success story about Vaughn Ackman.
Yeah.
And that was our friend Cartman showing up. Vaughn, this is great. This is absolutely great. I've been able to do this twice now with you, and it's been such a fun, organic conversation. You're just a sincere, genuine dude.
Thank you.
And that's not always easy to come by. So we really appreciate you. But for everybody, as we wrap up this episode, want to encourage you, if you've heard something here today that resonates with you, if you're suffering through or watch your employees suffering through your tipping process, it's worth having a conversation with these guys. I know the two of them, Vaughn and Steve, and they're not shoving anything down anybody's throat. They're very educational in their approach, and they're going to look for opportunities to see if they can find a solution that's going to fit in the way that you do business.
That's right.
And what's the theme we've been saying all week? Last week, Chad, it was that you take care of the people, they'll take care of your business. Churn drops, worry drops, happiness increases. It's the terroir of good service, meaning they're working in a great environment, which means your customers are going to have a great experience too. Didn't Zach Oates say something about that, Chad, that the guest experience can't exceed the employee experience?
I think you got it word for word. I was like, yep, those are the words.
Did I see that on the billboard that you put up for all of America?
You can go ahead. We're ripping down the Vaughn bill. We're building the DishOut billboard. We're putting up that one.
That was my billboard.
Guest experience cannot exceed your.
That should have been my billboard.
Yeah, I like that. That was courtesy of Zach Oates with Ovation. Anyways, but for now, this is the ChatGTM podcast, signing off with Vaughn, Chad, and Beck, wishing everybody a fantastic day. And as always, random acts of kindness, sprinkle that stuff everywhere. You never know whose day you're going to make better. Just like giving a great tip or using DishOut as a solution, you're going to do something good for somebody. But for now, take care, everybody. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank y'all.